In a quiet town surrounded by dense, ancient woods, there was a story that no one dared to tell after dark. The townspeople called it the Whispering Woods, a place where shadows seemed to move on their own, and the trees spoke in voices only the wind should carry. For generations, the people of the town warned their children never to enter the woods after sunset, for fear of what might be lurking within. But there was always one who didn't believe in the old stories. This time, it was a teenage boy named Daniel. Daniel was new to the town and didn't think much of the superstitions. He had grown up in the city, where ghost stories were nothing more than campfire tales to scare younger kids. When he heard about the Whispering Woods, he laughed and shrugged it off as just another silly legend. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and cast long shadows across the town, Daniel's friends dared him to venture into the Whispering Woods. Never one to back down from a challenge, Daniel agreed. He grabbed a flashlight, stuffed it into his backpack, and set off towards the woods. As Daniel approached the entrance to the forest, the air grew colder, and a strange silence fell around him. The usual sounds of crickets and rustling leaves were absent, replaced by an eerie stillness that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. But Daniel pressed on, determined to prove that the stories were nothing more than childish tales. The deeper Daniel ventured into the woods, the darker it became. His flashlight barely cut through the thick fog that seemed to rise from the ground. The trees, tall and twisted, loomed over him like silent sentinels. And then, Daniel heard it, the faintest of whispers. At first, he thought it was the wind, but the whispers grew louder, closer. They sounded like voices, soft and insistent, speaking words he couldn't quite understand. Daniel stopped, his heart pounding. He swept the beam of his flashlight around, but there was nothing to see, just endless trees and shadows. "Who's there?" Daniel called out, his voice trembling slightly. The whispers only grew louder, echoing through the woods, surrounding him. Panic began to creep in. He turned and started to retrace his steps, but the path he had taken was no longer there. The trees seemed to have shifted, closing in on him, blocking his way. The whispers became clearer now, sounding like dozens of voices overlapping, hissing his name, calling him deeper into the woods. Daniel's breath quickened as he realized he was lost. No matter which direction he turned, the trees and fog seemed to conspire against him, leading him further into the darkness. Suddenly, the ground beneath Daniel's feet gave way, and he tumbled down into a hidden pit. His flashlight flew from his hand and shattered on the rocks below, plunging him into darkness. Daniel struggled to his feet, his hands trembling as he tried to climb out, but the walls of the pit were too steep. And then he saw them eyes, glowing faintly in the darkness, watching him from the shadows. The whispers grew louder, almost deafening now, and Daniel could finally understand what they were saying. "You should have listened, you shouldn't have come here."